Gordon, it's great to see you, sir.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Yes. Last time we talked about the predicament of what's going on in South Korea, the crisis, the impeachment of President Yoon. A lot of conservatives and even the moderates in South Korea who opened their eyes regarding a voter fraud, election integrity issue. They are they are very worried. The upcoming verdict of the Constitutional Court. Can you talk about your thoughts and your prediction what's going to happen in South Korea? I mean, I know it's a difficult question, but your thoughts.
With the Constitutional Court, everyone is saying they're going to render their decision in the first weeks of March, which means very, very soon. And the problem here is that conservatives and others who want to save South Korea have got to organize fast. Because if there's going to be a new election, I think conservatives will win. But the point is, Min-ju will steal the election. They stole the election in 2020. They almost stole the 2022 presidential election. 2024, again, we see these unusual results where the results don't match the polling. You can have one election where election results don't match polling, but when you have a series of elections where there's a big gap between polling and actual results, quote unquote, you know that screams fraud. And so we got to be concerned that if there's going to be a new election for a replacement president, that there will once again be massive fraud, fraud that will change the results of the election.
So a lot of Koreans are worried if the verdict doesn't go as they wish, which is to bring back President Yoon to the Blue House. They worry that this voter fraud issue would be diminished as well. What do you say to them?
Well, I think that if that Min-ju wins election, the issue of voter fraud is going to be decided on the streets, because I don't think South Koreans are going to put up with another stolen election. There have been so many stolen elections in the South, and there will be protests, they'll be large, and I hope that brings to the National Election Commission that they will have to investigate it. In the past, they've dismissed all charges of voter fraud, even though it was clear evidence. And so I hope that the crowds are so big that they can't do that again.
Do you have this firm belief that CCP was indeed somehow involved in this election integrity issue, voter fraud issue in South Korea?
In the April 2020 election, it was clear that they were involved. And recently in 2024, we had the National Election Commission actually admit that they had hired Chinese to count votes.
It's ridiculous.
That to me is just unjustifiable. How can you hire, people from another country to count your own votes? That's just wrong.
And Huawei, do you think Huawei has been very suspect too?
Yeah, well, Huawei servers, we know in other contexts, have been accessed by Beijing, and we know that they've been using Huawei servers to steal information. So clearly the Chinese were able to use the Huawei servers that the National Election Commission had been using for the South Korean elections. That's just unjustifiable.
Yes. A lot of questions that I get from South Koreans are, how can President Trump know about this, and can he help out what President Yoon is facing? I get that question a lot.
Yeah. I think the United States should be commenting on this. We comment on foreign elections all the time.
Even Venezuela, right? He mentioned it.
Venezuela, and I hope that President Trump will say something. Right now, diplomacy is focused on the Western Hemisphere, and to the extent it's not, he's been talking, of course, about ending the war in Ukraine. So I'm not sure that he will actually comment on the South Korean elections, but I hope that he does, because this is our close ally. And we can see China stealing the election. Yi Jae-myung is very pro-China, pro-North Korea, pro-communist, and very anti-American. And we just, it's up to the South Korean people to choose their own leaders. But in this case, a stolen election is a matter of legitimate comment by other countries.
So Gordon, when you look at your colleagues or people in the White House, Washington insiders, I'm wondering whether they are aware of anything going on with the martial law impeachment and the upcoming verdict of the Constitutional Court.
Yeah, I don't live
Because they
in Washington.
really want other outside of Korean people being, get involved in this
There is
situation.
very little awareness of what is happening in Korea, in Washington, D.C., or in any American foreign policy circles. I mean, they're all focused on Ukraine. They talk about Panama, Greenland. They talk about everything but South Korea. And that's why I'm worried that all the oxygen is being sucked up by other issues. But this is a critical one, and the United States needs to get involved because it's clear that there has been election fraud. There's been all sorts of things that just unacceptable. And this does affect the United States.
So it's pretty much what's on Fox News. Because on Fox News, I don't hear a lot about South Korea. I think they should talk about an entire segment about South Korea and bring you in, and you can educate them about it.
Well, thank you very much. But that's probably not going to happen. Just because American media in general has been focused on things other than South Korea.
Okay, so isn't it common sense when you have more votes than registered voters?
It's clear. I mean, there's so many instances of election fraud, the evidence that we have. And you have a National Election Commission which is absolutely determined not to look at it. Clearly there is fraud. And that fraud is not only the existence of fraud, that fraud has actually changed outcomes.
Yes.
So this is something that we need to comment on.
Got it. Gordon, can you say anything encouraging to our audience? And also, where can our audience find your work?
The most important thing right now is that we are seeing people around the world realizing that they have to defend their freedom. And this is defense of freedom in South Korea, which is a really important country, not only to the United States, but to the cause of freedom in general. So I hope that the world will pay attention. But I do know, I have confidence in one thing. I have confidence in the people of South Korea will take to the streets and will not allow the communists to steal another election.
So we gotta just fight till the end. We gotta just fight till the end, I
We're going to
guess.
fight to the end because this could be very well the end of the South Korean state. We know Minju wants to eliminate the Republic of Korea. They want to merge it into North Korea. That would be the end of freedom and democracy and the South Korean state. And so this is where it's now or never.
And where can we watch your work on, other than Fox News?
I tweet out my comments
Yes.
at GORDONGCHANG, and I archive all my articles for free at my website, which is www.gordonchang.com.
Thank you for all your work, Gordon, and thank you for spreading the message. I know that you're on the forefront on X. You talk about Korean politics and the people protesting on the street all the time. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
It is my honor to be able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you.